All right, President Trump blasting China following reports China illegally sold oil to North Korea. And now it appears he's taken a different approach to China in trade. The president telling the New York Times, and I'm quoting here, "I have been soft on China because the only thing more important to me than trade is war." Yes, you know what? That's exactly what we've been saying all along. I've been saying this. We need to be tougher on China. We have a ton of economic leverage. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do. There is much we can do economically to, well, shall we say, have China see our way. Fox News contributor and former Green Beret commander Michael Waltz joins me right now, and it's good to have you here, sir.
Thanks, Trish.
You know, you come from a military background. I get an economic background.
Sure.
But it seems to me that we ought to be doing everything within our power. I know there are those out there, Ambassador Bolton likes to tell me, well, the sanctions aren't going to work. But I don't think we've really even tried when it comes to sanctions. Is that a fair assumption?
No, I think, no, that's a great statement. There's this assumption that's kind of floating out there in the narrative that we've exhausted ourselves with sanctions. And it's just not the case. In fairness, the UN just passed its 10th round of sanctions against North Korea, which China and Russia do a great job of agreeing with publicly and then do nothing to enforce on the back end. And we just caught them red-handed with this kind of black market style sanctions violations. But what we could do, to your point, is tighten the noose around the Chinese entities, the banks, the oil and gas entities, the firms that are habitually doing business with North Korea, and start sanctioning them, these so-called secondary sanctions, and get the Europeans, the Australians, other Asian countries to also sanction the Chinese. Now, there's a lot of people who throw their hands up and say that's going to start a trade war. Yeah. But to President Trump's point, I'd rather risk that than an all-out war on the peninsula where you have guaranteed thousands of Koreans and others being in harm's way.
I don't know if we have the sound from Ambassador Bolton. If we do, we'll play it for you. No, we don't. But, you know, he said to me yesterday, you know, Trish, if we do that, if we say we're going to cut, and by the way, there are a lot of things we can do. China's in violation of the WTO agreement, right?
That's right.
They're stealing hundreds of millions, billions of dollars worth of our technology every year. You got me as to why some companies are still willing to go over there and sacrifice that, but that's because perhaps they're so interested in their bottom line, and they've got to show off to investors every quarter that they're overseas and making money.
Market.
But it seems to me that your patriotism should be first in line here. And if it's serious enough that North Korea can threaten American lives, well, then we got to say enough. If it means a trade war with China, if it means we're not going to trade with China anymore, well, then so be it.
So be it there. And the bottom line, Trish, and I'm in violent agreement with you, is we also have to change the dynamic in the region so that this is more of a problem to China than it is to us. That could look a number of ways. That could take an economic front. That could also take a security dynamic in that we can enable the Japanese to go offensive with their military, which they can't according to their current constitution, but they could change. We could reintroduce tactical nuclear weapons into South Korea, which we had until the 1990s. We could create a situation where suddenly the Chinese look at the North Korean regime and go, whoa, this is more problem to us than it's worth. But right now, it's a perfect foil to tie up the Americans, tie up the Japanese, and tie up the South Koreans. And, you know, there's just no upside for the Chinese to fix this problem.
Well, we need to show them the upside, perhaps, or the downside, for that matter. Thank you,
the downside,
Michael.
right?
It's good to see you. Happy New Year.
Thanks so much.